Today, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite things, which is Chiron, the wounded healer. In astrology, there is a placement, Chiron, that represents the wound you're here to heal. And I actually think that it's a very fun way to approach your style because every single day, pretty much every single day, you're going to get dressed. You're going to put clothes on. You're going to have that experience of whatever your outfit is for yourself. And I think that knowing what your particular wound might be that you're here to heal and thinking about that through what you wear is just a really easy way to create daily healing for yourself in that area. So I'm going to just do a very quick summary of Chiron in each of the signs. Please note that most people will have Chiron in a sign and in a different house. So for instance, you could have Chiron in Sagittarius, but also the third house of Gemini. This makes it a Sagittarius Gemini Chiron. So for all of you who have had a reading with me, you'll notice that this is the case for at least one, if not several of your placements. Like you may be a Sagittarius Sun that's in the fifth house. That's going to be a Sagittarius Leo Sun, so forth and so on. So think about that when you go and look at your chart. Notice which house it's in as well, and notice which sign that correlates with. And I will make sure that I say the sign and the house that I'm talking about for each of these placements. Chiron in Aries, or the first house. This is somebody who's here to heal the wound of their own inner spark, their sense of being alive, being allowed to experience life through their senses. There's going to be a wound around letting them feel like it's okay to move through life by what inspires them. So that can be a real doozy. I will say that if it's in the first house in particular, although this is also the case for Aries, there's a higher likelihood that I have seen that you will also be here to heal some wound that's actually about your physical body. Just because the first house does rule the fact that we now are inhabiting, our soul is now inhabiting this particular physical body. So that's something to have in consideration. There could be wounds around your energy levels as well. Keep that in mind. Also, I'll see if I can process out loud while I'm doing this too, in terms of how style might relate. So for me, I would very easily be able to be reading a chart, see Chiron in the first house or in Aries, and be like, okay, notice if what you're wearing motivates you or creates a spark or makes you feel more alive. Those are things that are going to be really helpful to know whether or not it's an alignment of you healing that particular wound, instead of potentially not healing that wound, because we can accidentally aggravate it instead of healing it. So that's why I really love the idea that style can be how we approach style can be a really great way to have just daily ways of gently healing this part of our life path. So that would be Aries, Chiron in Aries, or the first house. Chiron in Taurus, or the second house. This is going to be somebody who has some wounds around resources, around feeling safe with their actual material possessions. This could be somebody who has a lack of abundance mentality. This could be somebody who struggles with feeling like they don't ever have a home that makes them feel safe. So it could be their living arrangements. And so they're here to do work to help heal that particular area. A lot of times when I see Chiron in the second house or Taurus, I am often inclined to mention that doing any kind of like abundance mental mantras can be really effective for this particular placement. So that's something else I would say. Also, I should have said, I did say it a little bit. Aries, first house Chiron, like just taking care of your physical body is a big deal. For Taurus Chiron, it's about letting yourself feel pleasure, allowing yourself to feel worthy of the pleasurable parts of life, allowing yourself to feel safe enough to to believe that you're worthy of the resources, right? That kind of thing. So ways that might be really healing for a Chiron Taurus is like, whew, maybe it's okay for you to spend a little bit extra on a certain item of clothing that you know you're going to wear every day that makes you feel luxurious, makes you feel abundant. That might be a really fun way to incorporate that healing through your style. That's so fun. Okay, Chiron in Gemini or the third house. This is a wound around feeling like it's okay for you to learn. There could be actually Chiron in Gemini could be somebody who like felt behind mentally or felt like they are lesser than their peers because it's that first day of school energy. Or feeling like their curiosity is not allowed. There could be a wound with comparing themselves to siblings too, because Gemini in the third house rules sibling dynamics, but definitely peers. So if you don't have dynamics, people your age can be a thing. It can also be a wound where you felt like you weren't allowed to leave the house. I know that might seem weird, but that's what Gemini is about. It's like being able to go to school, being allowed to leave and learn and start forming your own sense of self. So with a Chiron here, one of the things that I would say is follow your curiosity. Let curiosity lead the way every once in a while when you approach your style. I would bet that a lot of people with Chiron in Gemini don't feel like they're allowed to express their curiosity, that they're not allowed to explore, that there's like danger there. That this could be like the person who got told like the world out there is scary and they got cooped up and they weren't allowed to either literally or figuratively explore who they wanted to be for themselves. And so finding ways to let curiosity guide you when you are putting together an outfit, and for you to let yourself have several iterations of identity. A lot of times Chiron in Gemini, like I said, is like a stifled sense of identity versus being allowed to explore all of the facets of who they are. So that's something to consider as well. I love it. For some reason too, like I'm getting the sense of like letting yourself feel like you're going to school for the first time. Like that could just be a fun little thing. Okay. Chiron in Cancer. This is a doozy. Or the fourth house. So Chiron in Cancer or the fourth house is going to be somebody who might have a mother wound because Cancer rules the mother. They may feel like they had to step into being a mother-like figure at a very young age, or they didn't get the mothering they needed. So there's some of that. There's also a sense of like potentially feeling like home is not a safe place and feeling like they are unworthy of love and belonging, sort of things. I would say that this particular placement has a very hard time feeling like who they are is going to be loved. In particular, if they're not taking care of everybody, if they're not the ones, stepping in to like take care of everyone around them, and them receiving any of that nurturing is hard. So Cancer and Chiron, or Chiron and Cancer, this is the way that I would say would be a really great way to approach style, is to ask yourself if you feel safe, nurtured, if this kind of outfit makes you feel like you're being taken care of. I also would recommend potentially I had a thought and then it left. Maybe it'll come back. I would say that for this placement, being able to be comforted through your clothes is a big priority. If you've had a reading with me and you have a lot of a lot of Cancer energy, you will have heard me say this for you in particular. I also say it for a lot of Virgo energy, but Cancer in particular, it's like the needing to feel like it's okay, like your little self can be a little kid instead of being the mother type of energy, or even that you don't have to earn your love. So being able to wear outfits that make you feel like you don't have to, quote unquote, earn your love. Hey, baby dog, that's enough, honey. Yeah, that's enough, baby. Silly one. So that's Chiron in Cancer, the fourth house. And then Chiron in Leo, or the fifth house, is going to be a wound around letting yourself feel creative or feel playful, feeling like you had to squash any part of you that wanted to be expressive and fun. I have noticed that people who have a Chiron in Leo feel like they're not allowed to wear bright colors. You know, they're not allowed to be, you know, expressive and playful and fun. And so things that I would suggest for somebody who has a Chiron in Leo energy, hey, baby dog, that's enough. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So Leo, a Chiron in Leo, or the fifth house, what I would recommend for somebody with this placement is approaching their style through the lens of having fun, playing, feeling playful. And I also want to note, and this is true for all of the Chiron placements, is that I think it's really, really important to say that when one is first starting to heal Chiron placement areas, so that it can feel really vulnerable. It can feel scary, sometimes even dangerous. So this is personally one of the reasons why I like the idea a lot of approaching healing a Chiron wound through style, because again, we're doing it every day, and we're letting ourselves just have like little small daily touches of healing is I think a really easeful way for our nervous systems to have that healing process occur. And with that, please note that if you have a Chiron in Leo or the fifth house, and I say something like, approach your outfits from a sense of playfulness, and you're like, I literally feel like I'm gonna die if I do that. Like that sounds awful. I get it, 100% understand. Don't go further than what your nervous system like really allows you to go through. But even if you just think about it at first, like, can I let myself have a little fun? And maybe it's the smallest little thing. Maybe it's just a certain lipstick that makes you feel extra, like, I don't know, the word mischievous, impish, like popped up. Like, again, anything playful or a little bit spontaneous or fun, letting yourself be creative from a really youthful and awe-like wonder of yourself and the world through your clothes or your style. So, okay, let's go to Chiron in Virgo, or the sixth house. Oh, Chiron in Virgo, the sixth house. This is somebody who has a wound around, it's a bit similar to the Cancer placement, but the difference is that this person really goes into taking, they can have a wound around feeling like the only way their practical needs are going to be taken care of is if they're practically taking care of other people. These particular placements can be very self-sacrificial by being very dutiful, very like, I'm like, in order for me to feel like I can have belong, but it's like belong in a very resourced way. It's a little bit more Taurus vibes, because you've got somebody who's wanting to actually feel safe in their physical environment, and also through the community that they have, through the tribe that they belong to. And what can happen is that they feel like the only way they will get that is if they're being of service, taking care of the practical needs of everyone around them, and not feeling like they can take care of themselves practically. And so there can be a lot of what I can imagine is energy, wounded energy around feeling like they should only ever be practical, and I would not be surprised that a Chiron Virgo placement would be like, style is stupid because it's frivolous. We shouldn't put our resources there. We should only do things that are, and especially like about themselves, like I shouldn't have style. They might support somebody else's need for style, but like them letting themselves put on something beautiful or something pretty or something that makes them feel like they can enjoy life would be something I could see Chirons and Virgos or the sixth house dealing with. There is also another element here that Chiron in Virgo is going to be somebody who likely is here to heal some things around overdoing it with their body. So they're the ones I see as being likely to have a particular kind of burnout where they don't even they just give, and then suddenly there's nothing left and they don't know why. So approaches to style. Letting yourself, Virgos really do love being taken care of. I think that a lot of Virgo energy is like wanting to have somebody come in and say, I've got you, right? In a really practical kind of way. And so being able to approach style from that could be something like, how can I make sure that I let myself know that I've got me today? That could be like, you know what? I'm going to splurge on those boots that are cute as all get out and feel hella comfy, right? Like letting yourself embrace the comfortable and also what it is that you want. I think Chiron and Virgo placements, like these people have a really hard time really letting themselves want what they want, and then second, doing something, moving towards those wants. So there is that. Chiron in the 7th house or in Libra. These are people who have a wound around love and relationships. They often feel like their lives will only be okay if they have the love of their life, right? All Disney movies were made around the Chiron and Libra wound. A lot of our culture, I think, has a bit of this. Like, I will be okay once the love of my life is in my life, and then everything will be fine. It's we're married and here we are, everything's okay. So there can be some disillusionment around that. I think that there's a wound around feeling like they're ever going to find the one. And I would not be surprised if a Chiron in Libra is someone here who's learning how to realize that they are the one for themselves. And when they move into that energy, the right person ends up showing up. So, and there may also be a wound around a little similar to Virgo, but I would specifically say like feeling like the reason to be beautiful or the reason to have anything that's aesthetically pleasing is to get a partner. And that if they're just by themselves at home or something like that, they may struggle with making themselves feel beautiful for themselves. There's a scene in Eat, Pray, Love with Julia Roberts, written by Elizabeth Gilbert, where Liz Gilbert is in Italy and trying to get over all of these romantic relationships that haven't worked out for her. And she's shopping with a friend and they're checking out, and there's a beautiful like lingerie dress kind of thing. And her friend says, why don't you get it? And Liz says, for who? Right? And her friend says, for you, Liz, for you. Right? That to me is like the Chiron and Libra vibe, right? Be beautiful for you. And maybe look at your clothing or your style through and again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be aesthetically pleasing in order to attract attention. I love that. Like, that's great. But I do think that there's a scale, right? There's an unhealthy version, there's a healthy version, there's the way that makes us unhappy that doesn't actually get us what we want. And if you believe in astrology, and I do, that if your Chiron is here, the tools, there's a wounded way in which to act in the world, which then doesn't get us what we want. And then there's the healing of the wound that ends up getting us what we want, is the idea. That's a very simplistic way of looking at it. I would nuance that for a whole chapter if this was a book. But for Libra Chiron placements, I would say approaching your wardrobe through the lens of, I want to feel beautiful for myself, and then see what happens. I think that could be very cool. For moving into Chiron in Scorpio / the 8th house, oh, that's gonna be a doozy. This is also gonna have to do a little bit with resources, but it's more of like a wound around letting anybody ever take care of you. This is going to be the person who might be really hyper independent, and in a way where they don't actually, like, Chiron and Scorpio is going to have a wound around feeling like they can't be seen for who they truly are, or that there's a deep, dark, mysterious side of them that can't, like, if somebody saw it, you know, they would leave, right? There's usually a wound around feeling like there's something deep and dark inside of them that's like unlovable or something like that. And potentially a wound around letting anyone in. Like, we just don't do that. That's not going to happen kind of thing. And with a Chiron placement in Scorpio / 8th house, I would say that, what would I say here in terms of style? There's probably some wounds around accessing your power, feeling like you can truly be the magnetic, sensual, powerful person that a Scorpio is here to be. And so a Chiron wound could be like you're cut off from your sensuality, or you're cut off from your power, or you're cut off from really letting anyone see you as like multi-dimensional, and therefore kind of being one, like choosing an armor of one dimensionality in order to keep everybody at bay. And so in terms of style, I would be like, okay, what if you leaned a little bit more into what makes you feel like empowered, powerful, or sensual, or even like you're gonna even if it's just a little bit, let people see you. And maybe like for you, letting people see you is like you have this like dark black burgundy lipstick that's sort of, you know, avant-garde, but you work in this corporate world, and you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna, and maybe it's not even at your job, but like you're gonna go out for drinks later, and you would never actually consider wearing this lipstick around your colleagues, but you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna let myself be me, at least, like, just show what's on the inside, at least just through this one thing, this lipstick, or maybe it's a certain shirt or a certain silhouette or something like that. And maybe it's even just letting yourself be in touch with all of who you are on the inside. And even if it's not letting other people see it at first, it's at least letting you feel it, letting you have access to it. I would not be surprised if somebody with a Chiron in Scorpio might be afraid of their own power, might be afraid of their deeper, darker, mysterious elements. So that's something to consider too. Okay. Chiron in, it's next. The ninth house / Sagittarius. Oh, this is going to be somebody who has a wound around freedom, a wound around feeling like they're allowed to explore, a wound around not believing that they can have their own sense of truth, that they have to rely on somebody else's truth, which is not what they're like. You're here to have your own philosophy. You're here to be able to explore all of the things, all of the ideas, and from there create and curate your own philosophy. And so there's likely a wound around feeling like you are not allowed. You are not allowed to explore, whether physically through the world or through knowledge, right? Or both, right? That could be a real Chiron in Sagittarius situation. And so the thing that I would say here is, if you have a Chiron in Sagittarius or the ninth house, is to ask yourself, where do I feel stuck? Where do I feel trapped? And am I feeling trapped in my clothing? Am I feeling trapped in my style? And if so, what little thing could I do today to make me feel a little freer? What thing can I put on or take off? Maybe I don't need this super stiff blazer. Maybe I could go for this, sweater that, still looks professional, but makes me feel like I'm not constricted and trapped, whatever it is. And it could be actual stiff clothing, or it could be a stiff mentality around your clothing, right? So anything that lets you explore, like and anything that gets you unstuck, that would be a way I would say that approaching your style or how you put on clothing every day could be a really interesting way to create some healing energy for that Chiron placement. Okay, Chiron in the 10th house / Capricorn. Oh, Capricorn, Chiron is going to be somebody who has some wounds around. I would say that there's probably two ways that it would manifest. One is not believing that they have the discipline and structure in order to do what they want with their life, or in order to get the stability that they want or the power that they need in order to enact the impact that they want to have, or even in order, because Capricorns, it's another earth energy. We're talking about practical matters, but it's often in like a career. So a lot of times I would bet that a Chiron in Capricorn is going to be somebody who feels like they don't have what it takes to have success in the career that they want, or in gaining material. And it's really a kind of success or achievement. So it could be a wound around that. And I also think that it could be a wound around being overly dutiful, the only one who can do all of the things, the only one who's going to take care of everyone. Like, I could see that story being like the first kid who like goes to college and is now expected to take care of all of their family situation because they're the only ones who like got to that success. And so there's a wound that they are only seen for the success that they have. So you can see both sides of how that might manifest. And what I would say for Chiron, Capricorn, or 10th house is, if you were that first version, what can you wear that makes you feel more disciplined or more empowered to actually take the steps towards the goals that you want? And, maybe that is throwing on a blazer today. Maybe it is wearing a white button-down shirt, but it's like being able to tell yourself the story that you are capable, that you 100% are going to take the actions to make that thing happen. Like a silly story. You guys are going to get like sprinklings of my backstory through these. But I grew up homeschooled all the way through. And it was actually, I didn't have like a classroom to go to. And so I ended up often feeling like I couldn't get the things done that I wanted to do. Like I really wanted to learn. I really wanted to do well in school, but it was like the environment didn't always feel conducive to that. And I didn't have like a uniform. I could do school in the tree in my backyard, or I could do it in bed, or I could do it like wherever. There wasn't like a space and there wasn't an outfit. And so I actually would go through phases where I would pretend to be going to school and therefore having to get up and wear a certain outfit and go to a certain place. And I would create it in my head so that I was in it, because otherwise it was really hard to feel like I could even do it. Like our environment, even the clothing, helps us get into quote unquote character in order to do those things. So that's something that I see with that first version of Capricorn, Chiron and Capricorn. And the second one is like, is there a way that you can approach your style where you can give yourself some literal slack? Maybe that's like just wearing something a little looser. Wear the suit. Just wear like a looser satiny linen suit, right? See if you can bring just a little bit more of a relaxation, like take the weight off your shoulders a little bit, even if it's just through what you wear. And I wouldn't like, don't, for any of these things, like unless you're like ready for it, I wouldn't say like go 1,000% in. Just like try a sprinkling, right? It literally could be shoes that just feel a little bit more relaxing, right? Just something that allows you to take like a little bit of a break from the pressure of feeling like you have to be everything, especially in terms of the success or the monetary security of people around you. So, all right, Chiron in the 11th house / Aquarius. This is going to be a wound around community. This is going to be a wound around potentially feeling like you don't have a purpose or that you don't know what you're here to do. It could be a wound around feeling like you don't have like an inner circle or a tribe that you belong to, like constantly feeling like, where do I fit in? Like, where is my group, right? And so, and it could also be, there's also possibilities of like having some wounds around technology. How do I want to say this? Like, I wouldn't be surprised that people who've been cyberbullied wouldn't have a Chiron in Aquarius or your 11th house possibly. Like there's some of that, like just feeling like if you put yourself out there, you're going to be rejected, or that what you have to bring to the table isn't going to be allowed or honored or respected or desired. And so, and also not feeling like your unique self is like the coolest part about you. Like this could be somebody who's like constantly trying to fit in instead of really letting like, and it's like the person who's like fitting in and feeling like they can't let any their like freak flag fly a little bit. And because if they did, then they would be cast out. And so I would say like that this person probably has a real significant unique streak that they don't want anyone to see, or they really do want people to see, but they're not going to do it because they're afraid that they'll be rejected. And chances are, like usually the Chiron placements are there because you experienced this. It was a reality, at least at one point. So just saying that to honor the fact that this is another reason why it's not easy to do work in these areas. But one of the things I would be like, okay, being able to actually access and accept the areas in which you are unique, the things that you are that are different, that are quirky, that are just a bit intriguing and off kilter for, quote unquote normal, and seeing if you can just even if you're the only one that knows it. Sorry that this is the thing that's coming up. Maybe it's like you have like this crazy fun underwear. It's like nobody else needs to know you're wearing it, but you know, like it's at least you are acknowledging it for yourself that you have this uniqueness. And then maybe it's like it slowly like starts popping up more and more in your clothing, right? Like that you're going to express some of your unique flavors, which is so fun. I love that. Okay, Chiron in the 12th house or Pisces. Oh, this is somebody who probably feels chronically disconnected. Sorry, chronically disconnected from their own sense of divinity. They may feel like, why am I here? Is the world what is this world? Like they may be really disillusioned with the fact that people are cruel, or like that they're not being who they could be. It's like that everybody should be softer and kinder, and just not like this could be somebody who's like that really soft energy of like, we could all be better, and why aren't we? Please, like, can't we all just like be good to one another, be kind to one another? We're all divine souls. So it could be like frustration with the world, or it could be like a real disconnect from feeling like they have anything divine about them, that they themselves are like, it's like that they're like their heavenliness is not allowed to be. They're not allowed to experience the paradise of being their soul in this life, in this particular lifetime. This is obviously pretty ethereal. That's because it's a Pisces placement. So things, and probably like a belief that they're not allowed to have like that ethereal element in their life, that they're not allowed to feel whimsical, or they're not allowed to feel like the fantasy parts of themselves or the world. You know, this is somebody who would be like, I want to go to the Ren Fair, I want to go to the Ren Fair, but they never let themselves go, you know? So yeah, things that I would think could be really helpful in terms of style is like, okay, what is this ideal that you want to experience? What does divinity mean for you? What does it mean to be in contact with your soul? And how can you bring that in style up in your clothing? You know, maybe it's like, you know what, I love it when my hair looks this way, but I really need this tool in order to make that happen. Maybe I will let myself get this tool, even though it doesn't like totally make sense. Like, I just really love my hair being this way, and it makes me feel like I'm floating through life. You know, I'm bringing up something very, what seems frivolous, right? And obviously, like, you know, like for you, you know what's going to be the thing that works for you. It could be that I saw something on Instagram the other day where people are taking flowers and putting a stud earring through it. And so they were wearing flower earrings. Like, it was so cute. It was so fun. Like, letting yourself get in touch with the whimsical part of life, and letting yourself be in the beauty and the divinity of what it means to exist as in this particular iteration of you. So, okay. I really love the Chiron placement. There's a lot of interesting nuance that can happen here. Again, go check out Chiron in your chart. It looks like an upside down key. If you want help, send me a message. If you want a Chiron reading, I absolutely do those. I look at like how all of the other planets are affecting your Chiron and things like that. And remember, don't just look at what sign it's in, also look at what house it's in. Most of us will have it in a different sign than the house. So yeah. Okay. Have a good one, everyone. Talk to you later. Bye.